Welcome to a new episode of Cupcake Chats. It is a new year. We're finally in 2022, and hopefully, everybody left all the people, the negative energy, and anything they did not want to bring into the new year with them in 2021 because 2022 is already starting off with a lot. And with a lot, let's just get into something that's very, very complicated. We're going to talk about relationships today. And with today being Martin Luther King Jr. Day, you want to keep the dream alive. But when it comes to relationships, you have to be realistic. And Valentine's Day is right around the corner. And a lot of people got engaged over the holidays. You get on your social media and you see your little feeds and you start seeing all these people that, oh my God, they're in a relationship. Like, oh my God. But January is that little trial period, like if it makes it to the big day of Valentine's Day. But I did a poll, actually did a couple polls on my social media handles at Jazan Azari. And I got some very interesting feedback, and I felt like it would be very suitable for this conversation. And one of the real, I guess, chaotic answers was to a question that I asked, and it says, "Do you believe in open relationships?" And a lot of people said no. 90% of people said no. And I'm sorry, I can't do an open relationship, I'm not gonna say I'm traditional, however, we're not going to be doing no you can sleep with whoever, talk with whoever. And in the beginning, it starts out as I'm gonna tell you about this and that, but like when people start catching feelings for other people and there's more than one person involved, that gets messy. And open relationships of any gender, of any size, because I mean, some people it'd be like 4 or 5 people in a relationship. And I was like, I don't see how y'all do it. Like, how do you disperse your time to give to each individual soul and not make somebody feel like they are being neglected? Like, that would be my biggest issue. That and the whole entire I'll wake up and y'all are in a relationship and I'm here by myself. Like those two things right there, like, yeah, no. And a lot of the responses I got was like, a lot of people use open relationships to cheat. I won't necessarily say that, but there are those that do, because I mean, there's people that have slid in my DMs and I'm like, hold up, don't you got a whole ass person? Like, why are you in my oh, we're in an open relationship. Do they know that? And that's the question. Does the other person in the relationship know that they're in an open relationship? Because people in these streets be lying, and I don't be having time to protect my face and having to beat somebody's ass because they were not fully informed and I'm thinking things is gravy. So as a collective, I just curve that. I mean, hey, one day that might not be an issue, but right now, I don't see it. I'm in my 30s. I want to have fun, but my fun does not consist of open relationships, and we're gonna leave it at that. But also another thing I asked was, since people are into open relationships, for those that aren't into open relationships, but they want to bring a little excitement to the relationships, I was like, well, what is a fantasy that you want to fulfill? Or, just, spark the relationship a little bit. Cause as the relationship gets older, you need to add some creativity to it. Like people tend to forget like a relationship is work. You just can't let it sit there because it'll get old, moldy, crusty, stale, whatever you want to label it as. Like you have to put energy into it. And surprisingly, a lot of people said fantasy wise, they would have a threesome. I don't know why that is shocking to me because threesomes, I just feel like threesomes just happen. I don't really look at that as a fantasy. Fantasy to me is having sex in a cop car with a cop, or having something uh happen spontaneous like at a restaurant or at the movie theater or somewhere else. Like not a threesome. Like a threesome is work. I don't look at fantasies as work. I look at fantasies as something that magically just happens and it just all just sets in because my share of threesomes, yeah, no. I've had people on phones. I've had people not show up. I had people get jealous because, like, that's the biggest factor of a threesome. Like, the chemistry, you got to make sure everybody in that thing, threesome, foursome, orgy, whatever you want to call it, like, you have to make sure that everybody's energy is on the same page because it is easily, especially if you're a couple thinking about having a threesome, I feel like that would ruin the marriage. Like, and that kind of leads back to the previous question about open relationships. Because let's just say a partner and the person they invite into the bedroom or wherever hit it off and they start talking behind the other person's back. See, that's no. Fantasies, yeah, like fantasies to me has to be something that is not realistic and that doesn't take too much work. Like you have to really do work. You got to do research. You don't want to just bring anybody into your home. You got to make sure like they're not crazy, that they're not gonna steal nothing, that they don't come with any type of bed bugs because you don't want to be getting bit up when they leave. Like you don't want them circling your job. You don't want them to be whatever. Like you have to really do your research when you open up the bedroom. And to me, a fantasy whipped cream, cherries, like that's normal for people. But like a threesome, I get why people would do it as a fantasy because you don't have that many prudish people, but you have people that are scared to take a risk. And I mean, my generation and younger, like people are having their first threesomes early. So fantasy, yeah, no, but if you're listening to this, let me know what is your fantasy? Like what is something that just sparks out to you that you just like want to do, but it's something you haven't tried. And if you hit me up on socials at Jazan Azar, I'll answer it and we can have a nice little conversation and get off what you need off your chest, or you want to be a little anonymous for nobody to be in your business, you can always hit me on my community number at 404-737-2822. And I'll give you a response there too. I mean, I give love advice where it fits. I'm not a guru, but I do what I can. And when I do give it to you, don't take offense because you asked for my opinion. So I'm just gonna give you my honest opinion. And you gotta roll with the punches, people. Um and staying true to that subject, I asked people on my socials, what is something that turned you off in the bedroom? To me, personally, and a lot of people pointed this one out too. I don't like somebody that's lazy. Like, I don't want to be sitting there doing all the work. Like, I know sex is a great exercise, but we did not come here to lift dead weight, okay? Like, I didn't come here to like put in all the work. I mean, reciprocate so I know that you're interested if that rings a bell. Like, don't just like sit there like a dead fish. Like, give me some excitement. Like, moan a little bit. Like, talk back to me. Like, something. Don't choke me, but do something that's gonna get a rise out of me, like raise to the occasion to match your energy. Because if not, like I'm gonna dismiss you. Because there have been a lot of individuals that I have gone down that path with, and I was like, yeah, this ain't working. Get your shit and get out. Like, and they'll look at me. I was like, this shit is boring. I am not excited. You gotta go. Like, uh, there's no nice way about that. Like some people's like, yeah, I'm gonna, take one for the team. I'm not the one that's gonna take one for the team. If the shit is not exciting me, that shit has to end. I'm gonna stop in a moment. I'm gonna be like, nah, I gotta go. Or you gotta get up and go. Like, and honestly, another one of my things, especially like I have walked out of situations, like is a funky ass smell. I'm not trying to smell you. I'm not trying to do none of that bullshit. Like, honestly, if you plan, even if it's not playing sex, like at least make sure yourself is in a presentable situation because baby girl, baby boy, like I want to be smelling shit. Like clean. Use some body wash. Like if you know that something is about to happen and you know you're not properly clean, you better pause it. You better press me against my chest. Like, hey, it's let me take care of some business. I am a very understanding person. So if you get past that point and let me go to where I need to go and that shit hits my fucking nose, I do not want to ever, that will probably never happen again with you. I know you give people passes, but personal hygiene is very high on my list. Like if it's a funky smell due to medication, like because some people take medications that it enhances their body odor. That I understand, but we need to communicate that because I don't need to be rolling up on you and you need to smell fresh and lovely like I love it. Like I don't mind like if you just came from the gym and it's a tad bit of sweat. It's like a tainty little must smell, but I don't want to be smelling something like you ain't washed in like 10 or 12 days, like you've been held up in solitary confinement. Like that is a no. And a lot of other no's for other individuals is and this I can see a lot of the women said they don't like when their partner doesn't return to fellatio. And I don't disagree with them because like if I get mines, you get yours and vice versa. Like don't be a stingy motherfucker. Like if they are going down there and giving you the business, like you need to return that. And if that's something you don't do, you need to communicate that. And that is one of the very, very, very most important keys in the bedroom. You have to communicate what the hell is going on because if you make somebody feel insecure or you make them wonder and you're not giving them any feedback, that's going to lead to other problems that is going to spew into other areas of a relationship if y'all are together or if it's a hook up or link up. They'll probably never hit you up again because they'll probably be like, well, maybe they didn't like it, or maybe I was doing a bad job. And that carries on to the next individual. And see, yeah, be upfront and be honest when it comes to having sex. That's the most simplest way I can put it because nobody deserves bad sex. And I'm going to put that on record. Nobody deserves bad sex. And honestly, like back to the laziness, like it's done. Like if I feel like I'm exhausted because I'm putting in too much work and you're just like laying there, you're not giving me any attention. Like I feel the lacklusterness of your energy on me, and you ain't gotta worry about that again. It ain't gonna happen. And again, like I said in the threesomes talk earlier, like somebody that's on your phone. If your phone rings and you have a child, that's different. But if your phone rings and you see his work or it's I've thrown a couple phones across the room. You ain't answering that fucking phone. Like we're not here to be distracted. We're here to help each other release. We're here to make each other just, disconnect from the world. Like a lot of people have a problem unplugging, like unplugged in all day. But during that time, oh no, no, no. Last thing I'm thinking about is my phone. That shit is going on. Do not disturb. The only calls coming through are very, very, very important calls. And that is very few people. Uh, like I'm not interrupting that time because one, who knows when you'll be able to do that again with that person, and two, you don't want to put that impression on another individual that something's more important than them in that type of moment, and that could lead to also a load of questions down the road, or it could just lead to a disconnection permanently. The person might be like, well, they feel like whoever was calling them was more important than me. Maybe we just don't need to do this. Maybe they just weren't into me. And, people get into their minds, and that's a whole shit show. And honestly, that leads into this when we sashay back into relationships. A lot of people forget to keep up and implement the element of intimacy. Like a lot of people don't know how to be intimate. Like you'll be surprised how many people don't know how to kiss. Like it's like they're so scared, I guess. Like maybe we need to have a kissing class or lesson or whoever I might invite a guest on. Like even for the people that might not have lips, there's still no excuse. Like nobody has big lips like me. However, like you got to find ways to be intimate, whether it's through sense of touch, sense of smell, um, a little nibble on the ear, a little slap on the butt, grab them around the waist. Only if you got their consent. Like, I'm not saying go out there doing it to anybody. Only if that person gives you consent. And like, just do something a little different, a little spicy. Like keep it cooking in the kitchen. Like you don't want the flame to die down because it happens. It's natural. Depends on how long the relationship is going on or what the relationship is built on. Because if it's not built on a solid foundation, then I don't really know what to say for you. But yeah, you have to really just keep it going. Like it's hard, especially like when you get to a certain age or like you get in a certain level in your career, like like let's just say it's more demanding and you might not see your partner all the time, or if y'all work alternate shifts, like you don't see each other maybe like 2 or 3 times a week, or maybe the only time you see each other is like when you go to sleep and then they don't want to be bothered. Like you still have to make little gestures because I mean nothing is more important than being appreciated, and it makes whatever you may put up with worth it. I don't care if people say it's not, they're lying. Because even the most simplest thing that somebody can do for you to show like, oh okay, they really actually thought about me, will really really turn your life around and make it more pleasurable for most people, because then that leads to them wanting to do something in reciprocation. Now if they don't, and you've done that a couple times, maybe you might need to have a talk with them, because like you shouldn't be wasting your time. This is 2022. There are a lot of options out there, and I'm not encouraging people to go out there and cheat. Like if the spark has died down and you weighed all your options and you've exhausted all the outlets that you could to make somebody else, well, scratch that. You should never try to make somebody else happy. You should always make sure you're happy first, damn second. But yeah, like if you exhausted all outlets of like, making something work, be honest. Don't cheat. I hate cheaters. Like, just freaking be honest. Like, it doesn't cost anything to be upfront. Yeah, they might not like it in the beginning because some people can't take the truth, but baby, it is 2022. Like I said, you got to be honest. You got to say that shit straight from your throat. Like you really got to tell people what it is and what it ain't, so you can at least get on the same page of maybe they were thinking something was okay, but you'll never know if you don't tell them or if you don't ask questions. Like that is why communication is key. Like people may stress consistency, consistency, consistency. Yes, consistency helps, but if you're not communicating, you can't be consistent. Like, I had this talk with one of my friends the other day. Like, people that state that they want consistency first, like on a dating app or on a date or whatever it is, I automatically just get turned off because most people seek what they aren't good at reciprocating. So when somebody says they want consistency, yeah, right. You got to prove to me that you're consistent first, because 9 times out of 10, you're looking for somebody that's consistent because you want to know how to be, or at least learn how to be consistent. Now, that isn't always the case, but in my case, it has been. Like, I look for certain things in other individuals because I want to adopt or learn better practices on how to inhibit those into my daily life routine. Um, but yeah, I mean, Valentine's Day is coming up. I'm gonna be 100. If you are dating somebody that somebody else is dating, don't be going out there making yourself look like a fool on social media. We ain't got time to be scrolling past your post of being angry and bitter because other folks is in a relationship, and then this whole time you knew this individual was in a relationship. Kill it there. Two, don't be going into debt that somebody isn't. Don't be going into debt for somebody that isn't your spouse. Like if you're not married to them, don't be going into debt. Honestly, if you're married to them, don't be going into debt because we're coming off the holidays. I know a shitload of people that went out there and bought stuff that they could not afford to make their kids happy. That I could sort of see that. You need to make that level of debt very low though. But to your spouse, oh, your spouse got a job. Honey, I love you, and that's all you get, and we ain't got it. Period. Same thing for Valentine's Day. Like I grew up in a household where every day is a fucking holiday. Even though I don't really celebrate holidays like that because of capitalism. But yeah, like no. Don't be going out there splurging on one special day because this is how I look at it because of how I was grown up and taught. If somebody only really thinks of you one day out of the year to a certain capacity, does that individual really love you? Answer me that. If you only buy me gifts one day out the year minus the birthday, does that individual really love you? I really want some answers to this question. So, people hit me up on social media at Jazon Azari, JZONAZARI, or you can text podcasts to 404 737 2822. And I would love to continue that conversation for our next talk. But in the meantime, in between time, be safe in these streets, wear your mask. If you're vaccinated, still wear your mask because a lot of people are having hard time understanding that. Please wear your mask even though you're vaccinated. And to the non-vaccinated people, please limit your outings. Like, I don't want to be getting sick because you aren't able to get it or you just choose not to get it. Be considerate of others around you. Please don't do no extra shit. Okay, that's all I'm asking. But in the meantime, you have a good day, and I'll see you on the next episode.